Welcome back, everybody, to A&M Reviews. It's Muhammad and Adrian. We're here to review the Amazon Prime TV series, The Boys, Season 2. Of course, we have a whole bunch of craziness with Season 2. They really amp up a lot of the gore. It's kind of hard to just pin down just one central story, but Compound V is out and about and everybody knows about it. Everybody's trying to figure out where the Supes come from, which they call the superhero people in this show, who work with Vought, a big company, and they're paid to protect everybody. But we have Starlight. She is the one that's with Huey, and they're trying to uncover the mystery, really just trying to tell the truth about what Vought is and what Compound V is. But what did you get from season 2 of Amazon's The Boys?
So I think they did a really good job continuing the story from the first season. This one, like you said, primarily focuses on Compound V and getting it out there. But in a lot of ways, and I'm glad they did this, halfway through the season or so, they do expose Compound V for what it is and, tell the world that it was a drug that was bought from the government or from Vought, and parents, essentially drugged their kids to see what would happen, and they weren't just naturally given these powers. And the storyline follows that. It also talks about the original Soup, which we'll get into with Stormfront, and some of the side plots are some race things, talking about all the people who were Supes tended to be white, kind of the Aryan type, who were the people who got the Soup compound, juxtaposed to like what we're currently going through with politics and neo-Nazis, and how that is kind of portrayed in this universe. So a lot of side storylines, a lot of deep things, but definitely just as entertaining and fun to watch this season.
I would definitely agree. There's a lot of side stories. Just about every character gets their own story. We get some backstory with Frenchie, Mother's Milk. Even with Huey, he didn't have the greatest relationship with his mother. Starlight, same thing, did not have a great relationship with her mother. And also some of the previous 7, that's what they call the group, the superheroes, the 7, how they were, outcast, and how you can become a part of the 7. I mean, there's 8 episodes, and I'm just trying to nail down one part to talk about. So much happens.
I will say one of the more confusing parts and funny parts of the series was whenever you see Homelander's weird love interest. I don't know if love interest is the right word. But Madeline Stillwell is dead. He killed her in the last season. But we see her in a cabin and talking to Homelander and, having their weird relationship. And all of a sudden, she says she's in pain, and she morphs into this stubby, chubby guy. And it turns out it's a shapeshifter that Homelander has either paid or kidnapped to pretend to be her so he can de-stress. It's a very strange relationship that he has with the idea of this woman now that she's gone. But definitely was not expecting that. Didn't need to be there, but hilarious. Then
but before we move
the
on,
shapeshifter turning into himself, it was really, really weird for a second.
Yeah, but before we move on from that point,
Sure.
I think that he never got to have a mother, so that's why he kind of longs for that, because he does talk about how he grew up in a lab and everybody was afraid of him, and he's trying to teach his son, which is another interesting point, how to be like him, because he never had somebody to teach him to use his powers.
Yes. She's definitely the mother figure that he has. Interesting, his interpretation of mother figure, but that's what he needs in his life.
But let's go ahead and give it a rating. So the lowest rating is trash, middle is background noise, and the highest is a banger. So how would you rate the season 2 of Amazon The Boys?
I'm gonna rate this one a mid-level banger. I think it is very good watch. I think there are a few areas I can't give it a high banger just because I think there are a few things like little nitpicky details they could have did better. But I loved it all the way through.
Oh yeah, I highly enjoyed it, and I'm gonna go with a mid-level banger, just like you. There's so many high points in this season 2 that it'll keep you very interested on the edge of your seat. But there are a little bit of things like some storylines that are a little bit more boring than others, and I was just trying to get back to, I guess, the main storyline or more interesting storylines, like with the Deep. I guess he's a required character because he was a part of the 7, but he's just not that interesting.
He wasn't that interesting, but his storyline, it was some current commentary as well. Like I said, if you look into the Church of Scientology and Tom Cruise, just Google that and you'll get a long list of YouTube videos and conspiracy theories that will like suck you in for hours. And I think that's what they were really describing here, was the church in the way it functions in business and all that kind of stuff. Not really that interesting of all the storylines, but I think it was. I haven't known any other media really to talk about that. Some would argue if you look into those conspiracy theories because the media is scared to, because they're a member of the Church of Scientology. But that's a whole nother thing that you can look up on what Scientology is and make your own conclusions.
Thanks for watching, and if you would like to be featured on our podcast, make sure to click the link in the description.